yard setback and side yard setback to position a pole barn that is permitted in the current zoning town of Sullivan. The above application is open for inspection at the Town of Sullivan office building during regular business hours. Persons wishing to appear at such hearing may do so by person, attorney, or other representative. Gary, where are you? All right. What are you proposing? I mean, we've seen some of the paperwork, but just to go over it here.
Just a cold storage pole barn, 30 by 40, and possibly 14-foot ceilings. Tin on the outside. I don't know if color had anything. If that had to be a certain color at all.
So,
As long as you don't want your neighbors to hate you.
So I've got two letters here from Linda Martin, who's my neighbor on my left, and Steve Walters, who owns the farm, the field behind me, and I was asking him about possibly building 15 feet to 20 feet off of my rear line. So, and then they're both wrote letters saying that it was okay.
okay. And the reason why it is gonna be closer to the property line than allowed?
To avoid having to take trees down and move a dog fence that I had installed.
Okay,
So,
alright. Is there any questions from the board?
Do you have the map? Trying to pull it up, but it doesn't work. Play ball.
What's the required setback
Can't get there.
off the
50
back
feet.
line?
50 feet.
50? Okay, and you wanna do 20?
Yes, I was hoping for 15 to 20.
Okay.
And it said rear and side yard setbacks, right?
Yes, so
Okay.
I was thinking possibly 12 to 15 feet off my rear line.
Was it 12 required? What's it required?
Off the rear,
Off the side, it'd be to the left.
12, is it, what is it, Larry, on the side?
12 and 8.
Right.
It's
So we're in
okay.
ag, we're in an ag
15
zone?
and 15.
We're in ag zone, so it's 15 on either side, minimum?
well, then you're good on the back. The map here says you're asking for 20 on the back
Yes,
and 12 on the side.
yes.
So 15 would be.
But technically you're in an ag zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need.
Both your house and, I know the field behind you is obviously
Yes.
ag.
I think the whole neighborhood is zoned ag, right?
Hmm,
So it's 15 and 50, so you're looking at 30 feet of relief on the rear and 3 feet of relief on the side.
and if you were zoned residential, 12 feet wouldn't be an issue.
12 and 8 would be the other ones.
Yeah. So,
Is there anyone here to speak for or against this? If so, stand and state your name.
he
Nobody's
had
here.
2 letters of approval.
Yeah, we got 2 letters, and then,
I had to talk to everybody in the neighborhood that got letters, so they're like, yeah, that's fine.
and then, the town board reviewed it, and it came back that there would be no, impact, so.
Okay.
Any board member?
And Mike, you're still trying to get it to come up there?
The keyboard, I can't get the keyboard to talk to it. So I'm just looking on my phone.
Okay. Alright, that's just as good. Alright, you guys good? Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
So are you right across from Lock Lane?
Yes.
Right where it tees in?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanna make sure I'm seeing the right thing. Well, that's a weird jog you got.
Where'd Jerry go?
Is that the one that I brought in, that I kinda drew one? Yes, yeah, my land is kind of, it
And
really
just-
goes back quite a ways into the woods to a triangle.
Nice.
Jerry, did anybody come to
those
speak
lot
at
lines are
this?
fine.
Nope, I just went out to check.
Okay.
Alright, you good?
Yeah, I don't have any
Alright.
questions.
Well,
So I guess the one thing I wanna know is to make sure, the rear lot line, you want us to be how close, 20 feet from the
Yeah, I was
For
thinking
now.
15 to 20 if that works. I mean, 20, I guess, would also work too, but.
20 would work?
So you grant, your requirement is to grant the least
Least
amount of
amount
variance, that will
necessary.
still work,
That's what I'm saying.
you know, but recognize
That's
the
what I wanna nail it
requirements
down.
of the law, so that's a good question.
So you can work with 20?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Okay.
If there's something that, when the builder comes, that doesn't work, is that just gotta come back to another board meeting to?
Well, here's the thing, so the first question I would ask is, what are the circumstances that make it so you can't put it, is it 50 or is it 30 in the roof setback?
50 in the rear.
50.
55.
So what are the circumstances to your property that make it not possible for you to be the full 50 feet away?
Well, with a tree, and I guess I don't wanna have it too close to the neighbor's house because I own quite a ways over towards her place. I was kinda hoping to keep it back, you know, just so she has still a nice view of our backyard. I don't want it to feel like it's right crowding her.
Yeah.
You also mentioned an invisible dog fence that was
Yeah.
already in place.
Yep.
Okay.
They're saying that the placement where he has it would more benefit the neighbors than some other locations
Yeah.
on the
I got you, okay.
Is 15 an issue, or is that something that probably wouldn't go through?
So,
Well, it speaks to what he was saying, where we've gotta grant the least amount of variance
Okay.
while acknowledging the law.
What was the request for, as it was applied, was the
it
application?
looks to me like he was asking for 20 feet in the rear and he says he's gonna be 12 feet on the side, so he doesn't even need a side variance, right, cause it's 12 and 8?
No.
No,
it's-
he's in an ag zone, it's
It's the
15.
ag zone requirement.
I love ag zones.
So,
I love
so
ag
the
zone
other issue
neighborhoods.
with, going to 15 is we noticed this for a 20-foot variance, so the public would know that that you're asking for 20. If you
Okay.
said I wanna do it for
Alright.
15, not only would you have that one issue, but you'd probably have to have another public hearing to
Okay,
get that
the
approved.
20 will go with
If they were
that.
willing to do it, so 20 is the current request.
Okay,
That's 30 feet of relief in the rear yard, the 12 feet is the request on the side, and what did I just say that was, that's,
you said 15, didn't you?
yeah, so that's only 3 feet of relief that he's asking for, so that's fairly
Yeah.
minor.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
No,
I'm good.
no further questions. All right, we'll close the, public hearing,
Just wanna make sure the reasons.
Do we need,
And
hand these letters in?
so.
Yeah, you probably
You
should
can
give them
leave those with us,
That's good.
you
Jerry's
can give them to
table,
Jerry
please.
right there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Steve had written shed,
Okay, yeah.
instead of pole barn, but Linda had said pole barn, so.
One man shed is another man's pole barn.
Being
And no
clear,
matter how big
are you
it
gonna
is,
have
never
eaves
big.
on the side?
RLS is building it, obviously to code, so I haven't gotten blueprints or anything yet. I was kinda waiting to see how this went, and then get a quote, and then turn in the blueprints to see if
Okay.
everything passes. So I think there's a foot overhang all the way around.
So my guess is that you're gonna have it A-frame east-west, if I'm, well, long way, so
Yeah, so when you're looking
gonna
from the
A-frame to the
road,
side.
it's gonna be,
it's gonna be like this.
yes,
So the key thing to understand, when we give you 3 feet of relief, that's 3 feet of relief from the edge of that 1-foot eve
oh,
to the property line, not from the poles.
so it has to be 20 feet to,
The 20 feet isn't an issue, well, is there an eve going over
Yeah,
the
there's gonna
end?
be a
It'll
foot
be
off the
indoor.
back.
So a foot off, so that, you're going by the roof line, not by
okay,
So the
the
back,
ground.
like, if you got a foot of dormer,
Okay.
then your back wall needs to be at 21 feet.
okay,
And if you got a foot of overhang, your side wall needs to be at
13.
13 feet.
okay. Is this all something I can find on the internet to wanna go through and,
No, we're telling you now, so that when Larry goes to inspect it, or when you're going through the process with Larry, it's clear for you and you don't get it, you know, that there's no miscommunication, misunderstanding, that that foot overhang is the edge of the structure, not the physical wall.
okay, so, again, what needs to be exactly 20 feet from the line?
No part of any molecule of that structure can be any closer than what they vote on.
Which
So-
is 12
So Mike's saying
and
that eve is gonna hang over the side, go out, extended beyond the wall by about a foot probably. So it's that extension itself,
It has to be 20 feet.
that has to be 20 feet back.
Okay.
The
Yep.
wall, forget about the wall, it's any part of
Okay.
that roof line.
RLS is good, they'll know
Yeah.
what to do. They built mine, I'm familiar
Yeah,
with them.
they're the
Yeah.
best so far. so.
Probably better, Larry, to stake it before.
I'm gonna do the site work myself and have everything
Okay.
staked out.
And Larry, if you need somebody to check it, call codes and
Okay.
they'll they'll snap a line down and take a look at the measurement,
Okay.
just so you don't have any confusion later on.
Okay.
Okay.
Was it measured twice, filled once?
Cut it twice,
We'll-
it's still too short.
We'll vote on this tonight. You can stick around if you want, or you can call in the morning.
Okay, now if, anything changes with the size, say it doesn't go 40 feet long, do I have to come back and do something again, or if it gets built
You're
smaller?
really requesting only for the side and back variance, okay?
Okay.
Anything else has to go through
Okay.
through the regular zoning
Okay.
process.
Okay. All right, the second and last public hearing this evening. A public hearing before the zoning board of appeals of the town of Sullivan will be held on Thursday, September 10th, 2020 at 7:30 PM at the town of Sullivan office building, 7507 Lakeport Road, Chittenden, New York, 13030, to consider the application of Robert Durr, SBL number 9.25-1-7 for property located at 1223 Oak Lane for an area variance, rear yard setback and front yard setback on a paper street, to build an addition to existing garage than is permitted in the current zoning law of the town of Sullivan. The above application is open for inspection at the town of Sullivan office building during regular business hours. Persons wishing to appear at such hearing may do so by person, attorney, or other representative. Mr. Durr, what are you proposing and why?
Well, I have an existing garage attached to the house, and I wanted to go out to put 2 cars to go in 20 feet, to go in from the driveway side straight in, so I have more garage space.
Okay. And this street was only a proposed paper road down through there.
Yeah.
And there's just yards now and no plans for any future development of
No,
this.
matter of fact, you can't do it because the way the paper road goes,
Yeah.
I own a chunk of it that you can't get through to the next road.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you also own the property in front of it? There's like a pole barn storage facility there?
No, I don't own, that's the backyard neighbors,
Okay,
or south side neighbors.
okay.
This did go, the town board didn't have any, they said that there was no impact on the neighborhood, and also it went to the county, and they also came back, for a local determination. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I was down there, checked out what you wanted to do.
So this is.
No, it's sort of an odd situation the way it's laid out, that technically my home isn't on Oak Lane,
So
but
he
I've
doesn't
been there
know that?
35 years, and
That's what he's
that's
saying,
the only
no.
way you can get to it.
So
how close is he trying to get to the property?
Yep.
Is the
Good
roof
question.
line of the addition gonna be higher than the existing roof line?
They're planning to do the same roof line on the house, but they're gonna come out.
Right. You'll have an L shape.
Yeah.
Return the garage into livable space.
But same same.
Apparently.
And then once they add it.
They're supposed to be the
You
same
might
height,
wanna ask
unless
him
we get
that.
into a
No,
problem.
like this.
The driveway being a little too
And
high.
because of this paper road down through here, which it doesn't exist,
Right.
you know,
It's got a right of way now.
yeah.
So, what are these two? These are 2 landlocked properties?
You might wanna ask them
Yeah.
again.
Your east side neighboring parcel, it looks like there's 2 parcels there that are landlocked with no access to a street, is that right?
Well, the people that own on the east side own the home up behind it, on the south of it. So there's a summer, the guest house or something, so they own the whole property there.
This is where you want to go.
So both of the people.
This is the building right here that I was asking.
So
about.
both,
Yeah.
so the property that's to your southeast on Palmer owns all the way up across the paper road and owns the separate lot that goes to the
To
lake,
the lake, yeah.
okay? And what about the one next to them?
Same thing. The Wilsons?
So that house on Palmer Road both of those lots?
No. Where? So the house on Palmer Road, 1225. Okay, they own the lot on the lake.
Both of those two lots?
Yes, because they divide up their paper road.
Are those lots separate? Those are separate distinct lots than the
No,
1225,
they're
right?
hooked. They're hooked lots. Zoning hooked.
They're hooked with an H,
One owner, yes.
so they can't parcel those off and sell those separately.
How do you get access? There's no access.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
concerned with. Cause if you block the access on that paper road, are those separately deeded though? Would he be able to sell those?
There is an access of, the Palmer Circle.
Yeah, but paper road, it can be used to those two buildings.
Okay. And you're asking to build right up to the paper road
Yes.
line? And then how far off the side are you?
Actually, I'm 10 feet, which is legal, and then I can keep it.
Okay.
Did you convert the garage? Was there an existing garage that got converted into livable space?
No, the garage is just an existing garage.
So you're expanding the garage to make it larger?
Yeah, well, I want a new truck and it's not deep enough to get it in either, so.
Okay. So you're going right to the property line?
Well, I planned 1 foot 6 inches and I got 21.6 to go and I plan to go out 20.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against this proposition? If so.
The neighbors I talked to
Okay.
didn't say anything at all, but
Actually, when I was on my way down there, I ran into one of your neighbors coming down Oak Lane, and he knew exactly where I couldn't find your place, he helped me find your place.
I always tell people it's a rat house so you can't miss it.
Yeah, but he had no issues with it, he knew what you wanted to do.
You drove down Oak Lane?
Yeah.
If it's a private road and, it's not that well kept.
I know.
I could be that. Okay. Let's see. So that was just rear line, variance for that one, cause it's gonna come right up to the line, and then the side, there is no, variance needed for the side. Have I got that, am I right on that?
That's all MR12 zoning.
Yeah.
8-foot side yard, so.
8 and 12.
What's the side yard? Oh, that was 10.
And I.
So being the lakefront property, is this considered the rear of the house or the front
It's
What's your paying taxes?
Is this lakefront?
Front is
Lakefront.
It's
Yeah.
lakefront.
Where's the water?
The water is to the
On
north.
side.
Yeah, that won't come up.
The top of the page.
Oh, there it is, thank you. This map is killing my eyes.
So that, didn't that get cleaned up in the code language? Didn't you guys clean up what was considered the front?
Yeah,
Along the lakefront?
it's better defined now, what that is.
I gotta find it. I'm trying to find it.
I don't have my code book with me right now, but it's in there.
It's in the supplemental.
Yeah, it's in the back, Michael, sorry.
Waterfront, lots adjacent to an lake, the portion of the lot yard facing the lake shall be considered the front.
Right.
And the portion of the lot adjacent to the public or private road providing lot shall be considered the rear.
Bingo,
So we're looking at rear yard setbacks.
that's a bingo.
So the rear yard setback in an
Yeah,
MR 12 is
yeah,
a
Mark.
30-foot setback.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it's the same either way, didn't matter.
Mhm.
Talk about an exercise in futility.
Yeah, but it's good to hear it.
Oh, that's funny. And you wanna go 1'6", you're looking for 28.5 feet of relief.
But it wouldn't be that if the paper road wasn't there.
But that's not being used as a public thoroughfare, right?
Right, no.
Right.
So the idea that a car driving down through there's gonna be a foot and a half.
It's a right of way and it cannot be built on.
But
So
are
is it a
people
right of way
using,
or-
is it a travel lane that people
No.
are traveling upon?
It cannot go all the way through to Oak Lane because there's a section of the property that we own, so it dead ends at
So
the
they
back
can't,
of our property.
but I mean, in no instance are cars passing through
No,
where this
No.
building might be built so that they're only a foot
John.
and a half off of cars. Got it.
It helps to see that it
Yeah,
dead ends,
see, yeah.
it dead ends right there, but
Yeah.
my question is, Larry, you said it's a right of way. So is that right of way owned by 1225 or is it owned by the town?
It's owned by the,
Well,
it says on his survey.
It's a lane depicted on a filed subdivision map, which,
No, it's clearly denoted on his survey.
yeah,
Where's it, you got the survey?
Yeah, and there,
but this is also,
yeah,
those,
you'd never be able to use
that paper
building.
street has been
And we have a
laid out and put in
building
the
right up to the
county
right-of-way.
clerk's office, but it's
I wanna
not,
know who
there's
owns the road.
no interest by the town to
Correct.
build a road there ever.
No,
Correct.
no.
It's the
So
same
who-
story as last month.
so who-
Yes,
I was
this is
gonna
purple.
say,
Who owns the paper
Sound
road?
familiar all of a sudden?
Who owns the
Some-
real property of the paper road then?
It's a, well, technically, I
That's what I
doubt
want.
that the town has a deed to that, but the law says that a filed subdivision map depicting a proposed road is a continuing offer by whoever filed the map to make it a road, but the town has declined to make it a road. We've talked to the highway superintendent about these instances. I have no interest
I mean,
in
never gonna
building
have
a
that
new
money.
road there
Agreed.
and then having to take
So
care of
here's
it.
my,
and
so
spend all
here's
that
my
money.
question for you.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be prudent for the town to sell that to the property owners
they
involved?
don't own it. It's not a deeded, piece of land. It's an offer to make it a road someday. The town would have to act affirmatively.
So is it still owned by the
to turn it-
developer?
As far as I can tell, this is owned by the underlying property owner that owned that many years ago. When that map was filed in the clerk's office, it just, like, if you built a brand new subdivision right now and you built a road, you'd have to drop a deed for that road bed, the land under it, and then give it to the town. Town would have to accept it, now the town owns it. That never happened here.
So
There was
so
the idea
original
of a
developer,
road, yeah.
So
The
the original developer
developer
still owns that property?
theoretically still own it, but I can guarantee you that the person whose house is there probably owns out to the center line of that or something, but it's privately owned land in that instance. Now, what I can't tell you, Mike, is who owns it for sure unless we did the meets and bounds review of the deed itself.
and it's only 20 feet wide.
It's only a 20-foot wide lane.
I'm not trying to be a real pain in the neck, but it should be a whole lot better if he owned,
It would be nice.
even to the center line, if he owned the 10 feet.
It'd make it
and it
lesser of a
was his.
thing, yeah.
Make it a lot less to worry about and think about, and
We've got a lot of those properties
Oh,
in the town.
you got,
Yeah.
especially down by the
A
lake.
ton of
you
them
got
down by the
millions
lake.
of roads that
Well,
were never
We did
used.
we did this last month.
Oh, yeah.
I know, I looked at the one for
Yeah,
last month,
yeah.
it was I had something to say on that too, but I wasn't here.
Yeah, so it would
We
certainly
spoke-
be better,
I'm
but
glad I wasn't.
there's many properties that are under the same burden.
Okay. Any further questions? We'll, close the public hearing. And same thing, if you wanna stick around, we'll vote on it tonight, or you can call in the morning. We don't have any old business. Any new business?
I just have a interpretatory questions for the board.
Why don't you come up and we'll do that, and
Here we go. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
Are you related to Mr. Durr? Are you related to the attorney in Syracuse?
No,
You know that, you met him before?
I know he's got the same name as I do, but.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's another one in
Thanks, Larry.
Newburgh too.
There is?
Yeah, another attorney.
Oh. You're the best one then.
So what I have is I have a question of the wording of the existing zoning regulations for fences and walls
Yep,
in residential districts that state, except as otherwise provided in the zoning schedule, fences shall not exceed 6 feet in height in rear yards.
yep.
Okay? So what I've done is I've drawn a typical lot down on the bottom. We've got a front yard setback, 2 side yard setbacks, and a rear setback from the street. Now, a person proposes to either put an 8-foot fence, a wall, 8-foot wall, or a landscape arbor that's 8 to 10 feet tall for about 40 feet, that stays out of any of the setbacks on the property. My question is, shall not exceed 6 feet of height in rear yards. Would that pertain from the back of the house to the rear setback line, or just the rear setback line?
Anything in back of the house.
I think the intention of the law, and I think the way that it's written, essentially, anything over 6 feet that's a fence requires a 2-foot relief from the zoning board.
Okay.
So 8-foot fences are not a thing in the town of Sullivan unless they have a variance for it. And they have to have justification and reason. Like the one last month, you guys approved the one last month, I assume, right?
For the pool
Yeah,
up on the hill.
Because
There's a fence
the
to
house
it.
behind
Right.
was up on a hill, and they're trying to give privacy, and the rear neighbor's up on a substantial hill. So there was a circumstance there
Special
that was unique to
circumstance.
that particular lot. And,
Okay.
and that's generally what we've done. We had a guy come in and ask for an 8-foot fence out on Petrie. The guy that's got the lumber mill
Mhm.
wanted a 8-foot fence to run the,
Oh,
he
that's
might have
right.
even asked for 10, but I think he wanted 8 to run the entire length of the property.
Right,
And we said,
not gonna
there's no
No.
reason for that.
Right.
I mean, there's no reason that you need an 8-foot fence.
Okay.
But
And we
we've
denied it.
always defined rear as once you get past the structure,
Yeah.
once you get past the home,
Right.
that's now
Setback
rear,
was-
so.
Rear is the back corner.
From that corner,
Right there.
Wherever the back corner is, so from here all the way back, that's all rear yard.
And
So-
that falls under that rear yard definition above.
And if this, like, let's say this, it'd be nice if houses were rectangles, but they almost never are. So usually you've got a jut,
Yeah,
and in this case,
it would be from there.
that's the rear,
Right.
that's the rear yard.
I
Begins rear
understand, I
yard
understand
setback.
that, I was just wondering about the wording above.
The 6 foot, so 6 foot is what it is.
Okay.
Anybody who wants an 8-foot has to get a variance.
Very good, that's the way I'll enforce it.
Thank you, Larry.
Yep.
So my question for the one last month on Hunter, the one with the paper road, did the person own lots 1, 2, and 3? Did they also own lot 11? Where they wanted the pole barn? Or did you guys authorize a pole barn on an independent piece of land
It was all contiguous.
without a primary structure?
No, it was contiguous, and there's a primary structure on it.
Is it on one
On the
deed?
corner.
I think it was all combined, my notes.
Okay,
It's-
when I read it, that was what I was afraid of.
That was a big confusion we had because they applied for a side variance that they didn't need. Because
Right.
the map they provided had boundary lines that didn't exist anymore. And so
Okay.
we had to go round and round before we finally figured out we're
They
talking
own the whole
about
thing,
something
they
that
just
didn't-
need the rear lot.
And one map was numbered one way, the other map was numbered
Yeah.
another way, and it was, so.
But she
Yeah.
provided those maps to show, here's one lot we own, here's the second lot we own, here's the third, it's this big space. And so we got sideways on where property lines were.
Okay, excellent. I'll do the first one, I don't wanna touch the second one. I don't like it.
Oh, before you vote. Well, oh no, wait, we got 4. Okay, good, never mind, forget what I was gonna say. As you guys know, anytime you vote to get something approved, no matter what, no matter how many people are here, you need 3 votes. So if Mike hadn't shown up, a 2-to-1 vote is a denial. So you got 4, so no matter what, you need 3 votes in favor to approve anything tonight, no matter what.
Okay.
2-to-2 is a denial.
And the paper road last week, we said the town owned? No, that was.
I
that
had no
pri-
information that the town owned.
Private,
Yeah.
privately owned or.
Yeah, remember,
we don't know
the
where.
law is that if it's shown on a filed subdivision map, it's the courts have said it's a continuing offer of a dedication back to the town, so the town makes the affirmative act to
So let
say,
me
yes,
ask,
it's
so
ours.
here's the long and short of why I wanna know the answer to this. And I'd like to propose to the town board that they or the codes or somebody take action to try to move these things. We've got a number of paper roads down there by the lake.
Mhm.
Lakefront property is worth a lot of money per acre.
Mhm.
Who's paying property tax on that road? Nobody. my guess.
I don't, that's a question of assessment,
if-
so the
if they're-
assessor might be assessing that against the underlying owner.
If they are,
I don't-
awesome.
I don't know.
But if it's not,
Yeah,
that's a lot of money that would be nice to recover for the town
Yeah.
by having that sold dirt cheap.
Taxable.
yeah.
Sold dirt cheap to the people with the lakefront property and add another
Mhm.
eighth of an acre to their
But
property.
we'd have to show title to it, we'd have to have an abstract that says we own it.
I'm not saying the town would, I'm
Yeah.
saying even if it's owned by the underlying
yeah,
developer,
sure,
reach out to the
absolutely.
underlying developer and say, look,
Yeah.
we're never gonna take this road from you.
Yeah.
Why don't you make yourself a little bit of money and sell this to the property
Everybody
owners?
should be looking at their deeds down there. I imagine many of them say they own that paper street, except the paper, that it's gonna say, you know, reserving the paper, so you own all this land, reserving, however, this area called the paper street, which means they don't have unfettered rights to it, they'd right to have that cleaned up, right?
Right.
So the question is, who do they go to clean it up? Well, theoretically, it's the person that filed the subdivision map, and that's, you know, somebody
Good luck finding
heirs
them.
or something down the line that maybe inherited things, it's hard to say, it's an issue.
And a lot of times it's in each individual deed showing that you have rights to enter and exit through that. So you can't sell that to somebody else because
Subject
then
to
you're
it.
blocking somebody else from using what's rightfully in their deed, I would think.
Yeah, so
you know.
if it's in that deed and it's a restriction, then when you transfer it, that transfer is always subject to that language in the deed, unless, to your point, somehow you get it pulled out of there and removed, and that, but there's a whole big thing to do to get that to happen.
Would there be any way to have the highway department put a declaration on X number of paper roads will not have no plans to develop, so we get something?
Well, he's
to
done
refer
that, he's
back
done
to?
emails on that before, he did that
Okay.
for that last one, he did an email on it, but, the only way to really go about doing this would be a little bit of a nightmare, would be to go to the town board and say, hey, these are continuing offers of dedication to you by law. Do you wanna pass a resolution saying, hey, for all of these things, whatever rights we may or may not have, we're gonna declare, we hereby reject any offers of dedication to us for these paper streets. You guys take that up with the town board, that's not my battle.
I'm looking at it for money though, couldn't the town, hypothetically, couldn't the town board, have their attorney look at the deed, pick one
Sure.
paper street?
You can
Look
look
at what
at
the implications are?
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it as an investment, we pay you a couple $1,000s to do the
Yeah.
research,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, we've got an extra, between all the paper roads, we've got an extra
We'd have to find out and see.
3 acres of lakefront property, that's money in our pocket. next
We'd
year.
have to do a deep dive, because under your scenario, I'd have to be able to get in there, dig up and find a legally recognizable right for the town to actually own that property.
I'm not saying that we have to own it,
Yes,
I'm saying to get to the bottom,
Yeah.
pick one paper street, pick a short one.
yeah,
Do the legwork of saying
yeah.
who owns it, and whoever does own it, make it clear to them that we don't want it, and encourage them to reach out to the lakefront property owners and make an offer.
I don't know, it's interesting, it's an
We have a
interesting concept.
property now.
I like where your head's at, cause I get paid money.
Well, you get paid, but at the end of the day, the town's ahead.
We have a property now that's 2 acres on the water, and has 3 paper streets within the parcel.
And do you
You're
back
talking
those, do you
about the
back
one down
those
in
out for
Westport?
lot area, when you look at lot area, do you not count that towards their lot area?
We count them as non-buildable areas.
So the question, so it's really, the first step is the assessor and find out if they're taxing, so if they're taxing somebody for it, great.
Oh, yeah. In
Some
this
of them have
case-
structures over
in
top
this-
of them.
Yeah, in this case, he is being taxed for the entire paper street and others.
So I'm good then,
Okay, good.
Oh,
On
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
on that one, but these other ones where it's not contained to one parcel.
You know, the towns sell whatever rights they have, quit claim them.
And then
Okay.
we have parcels where there's 2 different farmers going back into the 1800s.
Right, yeah, you're gonna have disputes. like
20
that.
foot this way, 20 foot this way.
I see a lot of those.
Yeah,
I always tell them to
Yeah,
go
you-
see a judge.
yeah,
That's not my job.
right.
I like it when they tell me to fix it. That interesting person from Georgetown. Can't you, here's all my evidence, change it. Nah.
Well, which one we doing first?
We are
White
doing Pine Ridge Road, or White Bridge
Okay,
Road.
Mr. Bono, got it. Mike's got the form.
Yes, Mike, yes.
agency, type two declaration, type two negative declaration, whether undesirable change would be produced in character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, no. No rear neighbors will be shielded from road by trees. Structure will be shielded from road by trees. Whether benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance, no. Compliance with setbacks would require disrupting an existing invisible fence. Question number 3, whether the requested variance is substantial, yes. 30 feet of relief for a 50-foot setback is substantial, but not a determining factor. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood? No. Proposed location is further from neighbor than if compliant with setback laws. You don't like that?
I like it. I'm taking notes.
He's emphatically shaking his head. What do you want?
Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created? No. The existing fence was there for a prior owner. After taking into consideration the above 5 factors, the ZBA finds that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh detriment to the neighborhood, and therefore the variance request is approved. I'll make a motion to approve it. The ZBA finds that a variance of 30 feet for south rear and 3 feet for east side setback from section zoning schedule.
To all parts of building.
Additional conditions. Condition number 1, the no part of structure. We shouldn't write that though, is that right? Because if we write it once and we forget to write it, in terms of the roof, John?
I like it to say that, like, as Larry was saying, all parts of structure must remain within the setback, within the variance grant.
Okay, all parts of structure must.
And Larry, he's gonna contact you to stake, he'll let you know where the stake out, and you guys will double check that.
Comply with the.
Measure a foot in and draw a line.
Okay, good.
setbacks.
Right.
Is that right? You can't build now?
So, can't get any lower.
Probably not starting.
Oh, it's crazy out there.
So many, I heard somebody talking about, they said so many people have done so many projects using pressure treated, that the pressure treated's gone, and you think, well, just make more pressure treated, but the
Time to
The
make.
curing time.
well, the curing time and the wood that they use for it, they don't wanna undercut themselves on the other timbers by just doing, you cut a tree, you got 15 different uses of the
Wow.
tree, and only one of those uses is the pressure treated.
I was
So-
told by a lumberyard not to buy 8-footers, 2x4s. It's all coming out of branch wood.
Wow, really?
Coming out of where?
Branch wood,
Just junky.
full of knots.
Alright, I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Wow.
Thanks, Terry.
Alright.
it. All right, I had Mr. Durr on Oak Lane. Lead agency, type 2, negative, if I'm correct. Question number 1, undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties? No, it's a lakefront neighborhood. What he wants to do is in line with others in the area. Number 2, benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved by a feasible alternative. Yes, but it's not a desirable solution given the property layout and what he has to work with. Number 3, whether the requested variance is substantial. I say yes, but the paper road will never be utilized and it's not desired by the town. Number 4, would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? No. Number 5, alleged difficulty self-created. Yes, but not a determining factor.
He bought a truck that was too big.
That's true.
Hey,
That's why we got-
we've all gotta have our toys. Well,
Fantastic.
Mike, I can also relate to it, because I've got a side entry garage, and it's a pain in the ass to make a big swing.
Swing.
Okay, I mean, so,
If I build one, I'm building it so big, you can park a Greyhound.
Mike, you'll never build it big enough.
That's-
Trust me.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, the ZBA, after taking into consideration the above 5 factors, says the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community, and therefore the variance request should be approved. I'll submit that as a motion.
So you gotta have a second and then discussion on the motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion?
The only concern that I have with this one at all,
Shocker.
I don't like not knowing who owns that road, cause if he owns into the road, then it really doesn't matter much at all.
But he's not
Yeah,
gonna,
he's not gonna own into the road, Mike. He's gonna own up to 1.5 feet. Up to it, not in it.
The other thing, a little bit of a saving thing for the zoning board of appeals, if there was ever an issue about ownership, I try to keep you guys away from that kind of stuff. So if you were to grant a variance that technically gave a variance that somehow goes into their property, the property owner that owns that underlying road still has, you don't take away that property owner's rights by granting the variance, it's still a private law rights. Now, if you knew about it, and you were sure, I would advise you don't do it. But if you don't know and you're worried, like, wow, what if somebody else owns it? I would say, okay, you could still grant it, because we can't figure out who owns it, as long as they meet the other requirements, but we're not trumping anybody's private, personal, private real property rights. So if this were to be an encroachment on somebody's land, that property owner doesn't lose those rights to go back against the applicant just because we granted something. So that's still preserved. But like Mike's right, we really don't know who's the underlying owner. That would take quite a bit of research.
The reason I'd like to know is because if it's like it is in a lot of developments, as you mentioned before, where the property owner, the
Right.
property line is actually in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
so the property owner, so this guy actually owns an additional
Half the-
10 feet
Half the paper road potentially.
that's deeded to him.
True.
Then,
Mhm.
guess what? It's an 11-foot setback, it's really not a big deal.
Right, right.
But man, I don't like a 1.5-foot setback to a property line for a physical structure. I don't like it at all. I really don't feel good about it, even if it's a paper road.
But a right of way is considered an open,
Is it a property line, a right of way?
a right of way or a paper street are considered, public right of,
Public right of way.
Public areas, and like in the inner city, you can build right up to the sidewalk, because out front, you got public ways.
Well, there's zoning and then there's this issue about the right of way. So I agree that this is a 1.5-foot setback is extremely ambitious setback, which shouldn't be easily granted. I think that you guys are considering whether there's factors here that would allow for that. And I think, who made the motion, Terry?
You mentioned, Terry, didn't you, when
Terry's
you said that
motion.
it's a substantial
Yeah,
substantial
Terry said
variance?
that, yeah.
You mentioned that it's abutting the paper road. Could you read your language on that?
No,
again?
that's true. I think you're right.
Cause I think you said that in there, I think that's good to
I
include.
said, is the variance substantial? I said yes, but paper road will never be utilized and is not desired by the town.
So I'm lost at your concern, Mike, if the town is, if right now, it's not an ownership concern, because.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, because it's sitting in front of the town for their use or not.
And you're still gonna have the 20 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the
Okay.
paper road matters.
Were there any conditions
Right.
attached to that resolution? Proposal, I mean?
Not so far, but,
Cause you got a motion and a second, but I just realized if there's gonna be conditions, you gotta lay them out now before you vote.
do you guys wanna add any conditions to it?
Just the same thing that even the overhang of the roof can't be closer than 1.5 feet to the property line, cause you could pretty easily,
That's a gable end on that side, so.
is it?
Still worth saying, no portion of the building may extend into that setback.
You get those big 2-foot lights.
Yeah. You know,
It's pointing out towards his driveway.
that's right.
Yeah, I laughed when he said, I need to build it because I just bought a new truck.
I immediately thought self-created hardship.
It is tight in there. My concern was cause the houses, they're like sawtoothed in there. That's why I asked if the roof line was gonna go any higher, cause then you get into sight lines
Yeah.
Right.
That's the shop or something.
going north.
Do you wanna say it can't be any taller than the existing?
No taller than the existing structure.
Yep.
Okay, here's what I wrote. 1.5 foot setback on paper road includes roof overhang, no taller than existing structure. Is an additional condition.
Alright, we have a motion, we
Thank
have
you,
a
Terry.
second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Talking right into it.
Unanimous.
I'm a salesman, Mike.
Larry, you let him know about the roof?
Beware.
The no taller
We have the
than
minutes
structure,
to
so he doesn't
approve.
accidentally
That's what his
get-
plan was.
This contractor doesn't go ahead and build something too tall.
He said they were just gonna continue from
Yeah.
the residents around.
Alright, well, and Terry's got it in his written resolution, so that's.
Who, did you second that, Cliff?
I didn't-
Brian
No,
seconded it.
Brian, I'm sorry.
And then, we have the minutes to approve.
Did you send me that letter? We'll talk after.
Is that one?
Okay.
I can't vote on the minutes, but the review that were here last month can make a motion to approve the minutes.
Fair enough.
I wanna know who made the brownies, mentions brownies in there.
What? I was here, there's no brownies.
There's no brownies.
That you knew of.
It's in the minutes?
Me and Steve had a problem with that.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.